Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the King of the Road tournament here, live on NASCAR Heat 5. It's the first installment for the Group D drivers in Round 1, and it comes live from Watkins Glen International. And we've got 11 drivers in Group D rocking and rolling in this 22-lap race at Watkins Glen to figure out who's going to advance into the second round of this tournament. Top 4 in the final standings advance, and the top 2 highest ranked drivers based on their fastest race laps performance, and that's out of all 30 drivers eliminated in round 1, they'll advance too. 18 drivers will advance to round 2. 8 drivers advance to the final at the Charlotte Roval next Wednesday, April 21st. I'm NOSSCAR CEO and founder Tyler McMurder, alongside my 2 broadcast booth partners here tonight. My partners in crime, 2-time NOSSCAR champion Ayrton Frederick and former NOSSCAR Motormaster Series race winner Jackson Stotts. Thanks a bunch, both of you, for joining me.
I'm glad to be here, Ty.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And first time for Jackson calling action here in NOSSCAR. Welcome aboard, brother. It's going to be an action-packed night. 3 races for the Group D drivers. Ayrton was a part of Group C. He advances. I was a part of Group B. I happened to advance with a third place finishes across the board. Ayrton, you won one of these races. Tell us a little bit about your experience in Group C while we watch Kenny 25 lead the race.
Group C was really fun, really clean, hard racing every single race. Had the front bunch of guys who were basically the favorites going in, proving that they belong here, and then a couple guys showing up and sneaking in there and having some good performances. So Group C was a lot of fun. Was lucky to get a good win at Road American to advance to the second round.
Jackson, we're seeing a good race so far unfolding at Watkins Glen. They don't have too many laps on the ticker to get it done here. It's 22 laps. We're seeing Kenny lead the race as they work their way through turn 1. Behind them, it's a pretty good battle for the second position between BBS Brennan and the pole sitter for the race, Silzano, in the 14 car. Silzano, arguably the heavy favorite here in Group D.
Yeah, this 32 is really, really quick right now, especially through the S's. I can see he has a lot of grip with his tires right now. He's going through the bus stop really nice. His car has a lot of rotation, and it looks like this car could actually have a good win tonight. You guys saw last night I had a gas pedal issue. I had to back out of the race, but as far as right now, this 32 of Kenny really, really has the car to beat.
Off to a great start. Gotta wonder if he's maybe using up his stuff trying to run away from the rest of the field, but time will tell. But all looking good so far for the driver of the 32, working a little bit deeper through the field. There's KD 35700, folks. And he's in I believe he's scored in the 5th position right now as he works his way down the front straightaway. There's a couple of cars in sight behind him, but for the most part, he's not being challenged at this time. And it's key that he's up there running in the top 5, folks, because honestly, he wants to get in the top 4 primarily, but I feel like if you can have top 5s or better in all 3 of your races in round 1, you have a good chance of advancing to round 2. And as we check the leaderboard and kind of reevaluate everything here, he's actually scored in the 4th position in that 95.
Now here comes the 14 Ford Mustang, now looking for second onto the 51 Chevrolet. The 14 actually caught the 51 in the S's a little bit, and then he actually gained entering the bus stop. So great start for the 14 car making his way through the field.
Kind of
One thing
expected
I'm noticing
this.
with the one thing I'm noticing with the 51 car of Brennan, I believe, he's really using up every inch of the track. There's a lot of runoff here at Watkins Glen, and watching him run through the second last corner, which has a lot of runoff, and this first corner they're coming up to now, he's really hanging it out there to carry the speed through the corner. But of course, by doing that, you're extending the track. So it's interesting to see how the drivers take the corners with all the runoff, see if they want to have the exit speed or the speed through the corner. Right now, it looks like that 51 prefers to have the speed through the corner.
Oh, he had to grab a handful of steering wheel there as they worked their way up the hill through the S's after turn 2 over there, and he's all good. Keeps it in one piece, pointed in the right direction, but he's still being hounded for that second place position by Silzano, arguably the heavy favorite here in Group D. There might have been a little bit of contact as they exited the bus stop. The 14 all over the back bumper of that number 51 Chevy Camaro of BBS Brennan. Both of these drivers very talented sim racers, especially here on these road courses. And the 95 still in the picture a little bit. The top four have broken away from the rest of the field just a little bit. And when we were, and there's a car into the inside wall. It looked like it was the 41 of Groovy. Races in HTL. Was named their road course ringer of the year. And with good reason. Great success for him over there in that series. And I think there might have been contact between he and the 16 of Bubba Hollywood, but we would have to go back and see. There is a little bit of damage to the front end of that 16 as he's driving right behind the number 10 of Armstrong Moose-Up. As you can see in the Ford Mustang, they're working their way down the front straightaway now, both of them battling for position inside of the top 10.
The 14 of Salzano, I hope I said his name right, really had to grab the car a little bit exiting the bus stop there. It looks like his car kind of got away from him, but you can see now he's going to start to work back onto the 51. He's going to be patient. He's going to make sure he does not wear out his tires enough to where he's actually going to lose ground to the 51. He is really wanting to get in front of the 51 because, number one, that 51 is not as fast as the 14, and the 14 has a great chance of catching the 32 later on.
That was a good point there by Jackson. If you run the track really wide like that, Ayrton, are you using up the tires a little bit more?
You're definitely at the risk for it, and if you run off into the runoff like the 51's doing, you can really wheel hop as you go over the curbing there. On the exit, especially of turn 1, there's a little bit of a crest, and if you hit that the wrong way, then you could just spin the car out. And so far, haven't seen any incidents like that, but the 51 running so aggressive on these exits could wear out the tires, like you said, and maybe even just push too hard and spin. But one thing that I'm noticing is the 14 is being very patient. He's definitely faster than the 51. But Salzano's doing a great job of staying patient and knowing that he's definitely faster, and he's just going to find an opportunity to just sneak on by rather than force the issue.
And good battles all over the racetrack. Armstrong just took the position back from Bubba Hollywood, but Hollywood not giving up. He's all over the back bumper of that number 10 Ford Mustang as they come down the straightaway leading to the bus stop. And this is a high braking zone, a heavy braking zone. Who's going to give? And it looks like Armstrong gave a little bit, but there was still contact between the two. They exit the bus stop. Armstrong got a little bit out of shape. He spins into the wall just a tiny bit. Minor damage to the 10 Ford, and he's going to soldier on, but he loses that position to Hollywood, and Hollywood gains a couple of car lengths on him in the process. Good battle here for position as well between the 42 of KB Showtime and the driver just in front of him, Beam SKP. Full-time driver for the NOSSCAR Tailgate Truck Series out of France, and he made the final 4 for that series and had a good chance at winning the championship, finished 6th in that Phoenix Championship race, and he was one of the major favorites coming into this King of the Road tournament. Finished 22nd in the qualify round for the Winter Heat Series Indy Roval event. Qualify round for that, and in the A class, very talented sim racer. At one point owned his own F1 2020 league. Since then has retired it, but found success in that series as well. Still a good battle there with the 42 just behind him. Not a mark on the 43 Chevy.
Yeah, the 42 had an incident at the start of the race. He actually went down pit road. It looks like he's recovered just a little bit, but the 42 made hard contact earlier in the race with his front end. You can see it's all smushed up like a Happy Meal that you'd get at McDonald's. So it's definitely messed up. But again, damage may come back to help you at road courses. It just depends.
Ayrton, we were talking about this a lot when we were doing the commentary for the Group A races. Another way you can advance your... Oh, and Armstrong trouble over in turn 10 for the number 10 of Armstrong Moose-Up, and now he pulls off the racetrack and he is done for the day. He ran nose first into one of the barriers, came to a dead stop. There was heavy front-end damage for Armstrong, and he's going to park it and finish in the 11th position, and that's a tough way.
Trouble! The 20 cars around. He went in the grass. He's in the gravel trap.
Ryan Schreck, and he's going to head into the pits and chase the fastest lap, which I believe is what you were going to bring up, Ty. That the points aren't the only way you can advance. You could also just go chase your fastest lap and hope that, because this is the last group, so they know who they're going up against in terms of advancing through fastest lap placement. So we might see a lot more aggression from the guys who run further back in terms of trying to get the best laps on the track each race, because that's the backup play if you can't score up front. So yeah, we might see the guys who wreck out early just go down pit lane, put on some fresh tires, fix their damage. But I do like what Jackson said, is sometimes damage on road courses can help. At Mid-Ohio yesterday, I damaged the heck out of my car, and I honestly felt faster, because it kind of slows you down a little bit, but on a slow track, because I was at Mid-Ohio, that's not a very fast track, you can really just kind of carry the speed a little better, because you're not going too fast, if that makes sense. So definitely going to be interesting to see if some guys leave the damage on their cars, but definitely expecting to see guys chase the fastest laps.
That's what I'm thinking too. If you fall deep in the field and you don't think you're going to get your way into the top 4 in the final standings at the end of all 3 of these round 1 races for the Group D drivers, might be smart to come down pit road, repair any damage you have, take 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles, take no fuel so the car is a little lighter, and try to go out there and get a hot lap. Try to increase your chances of advancing to round 2. The leader is Kenny in the number 32 Ford Mustang, commanding lead as of now over the rest of the field. Salzano in the number 14 Ford Mustang, the pole sitter for this race, all over the back bumper of the 51 of BBS Brennan, but still it's Brennan holding on to the second place position. Salzano scored in third. The 95 machine, KD 35700, scored in P4. He just went around the 2 car of Rockin' Lunatic. Rockin' Lunatic 1 lap down, and you need to go a little bit further back to find the drivers running 5th and 6th. And running in 5th is Beam SKP, the driver of the number 43 Chevy Camaro. KB Showtime just behind him in the 42, scored in 6th. I believe that it's Bubba Hollywood in the number 16 Chevy Camaro, scored in 7th. And they're all chasing Kenny in that number 32 Ford. Eric, what is Kenny doing that's getting him so far out in front of the field?
It's the same thing I say with anybody else who runs up front on road courses. You just got to find your groove and just stay consistent and don't let anything knock you off your line. And that's exactly what he's doing. And he's letting the war go on behind him. On a road course, battles really slow you down, and we see that with this second place battle of Brennan and Salzano. They're really holding each other up. Salzano, if he really wanted to, could get around that 51, but he's being really patient. I honestly got to tip my cap to him with how patient he's been. He had a run going into turn 1 at the start of this lap, and he just sat in third. So this battle is definitely letting Kenny get away with it.
Ryan Schreck in the 20 Craftsman Toyota Camry spun coming out of the bus stop for the second time today. This is his second spin, and now he's back in pit road with heavy front end damage. This basically possibly will end his hopes of winning Watkins Glen, but again, you still can compete for the fastest lap. The first wreck, I believe he got in the sand trap and he spun in turn 6, and now he wheel hopped coming out of the bus stop and he spun into the barriers. So the second wreck of the day for the 20 car, and to be honest, if you wreck 2 times in one race, the rest of the race, just take it easy, try not to wreck your race car again.
The best battle on the racetrack still is the 51 of BBS Brennan and the 14 of Salzano 14, and they battle for that second and third positions. The 95 of KD scored in 4th. Beam SKP runs in 5th. KB Showtime in 6th. Bubba Hollywood running in 7th. Groovy in 8th. And I believe it's Rockin' Lunatic scored in 9th. Ryan Schreck, as you mentioned, Jackson has been on pit road, so he has scored in the 10th position. Armstrong moves up, parked on pit road, motionless and done for the race. He'll finish in 11th. Ayrton, what are you seeing out there?
Right now, still eyes glued on the second place battle, and the point I'm noticing that makes the biggest difference between the 51 and the 14 is the last 2 turns of the circuit. The 14 is just so much faster out of the second to last corner, but he just hasn't been close enough to pass going into the last turn, and that is a hard place to pass regardless. His best chance would be setting up a move into turn 1, where he's also a little bit faster, I believe, but again, he's just holding station right on that back bumper. But I would not be surprised to see maybe a move in a bus stop here, because he is right there now, basically bump drafting. They're going to go side by side now down the back straightaway at Watkins Glen, and we'll see if the 14 gives him any favors, and he's going to outbreak the 51, and that is a position change for second place.
See, when you're going in side by side to the bus stop like that, it's very difficult to stay side by side through the entire bus stop and carry any type of speed. So usually what you see is one of the cars lift and give the other car the spot. It looked like Brennan in the 51 maybe lifted a little bit extra to let Solzano have it. That was by far the best run Solzano has had on the 51 to take that second position, and he's been trying pretty much since the drop of the green flag, maybe about lap 3 if you want to be specific, but that puts Solzano up into P2, and that is a 2-point swing at the end of this race. So that was a key pass there for Solzano.
Now it's time to, now if I were the 14, yes, I would still worry about the 51 in my mirror, but try to at least keep your eyes on the prize in front of you. You know the 32 is not that far ahead of you. He is pretty far, but not as far as he was. Now it's just time to keep your eyes on the prize, get past this 41, which is his teammate, try to get past him, and catch this 32. Oh, and he makes a mistake! The 14 wheel hops, and now they're going 3 wide on the bus stop, and now the 51 has the inside lane advantage, and the 14, a big mistake.
And that allowed the 41 of Groovy to come right back up onto this battle. Groovy is 1 lap down in the 41. I believe he has been to pit road. The damage you see on the hood of that car is only for us to see. It's not on his car anymore, I don't believe. I believe he's been to pit road to repair the damage, and he's chasing after that fastest race lap rank. And Solzano is going to hold on to second for now, but that was nearly a costly mistake. Almost gave the spot up that he worked so hard for, with BBS Brennan right behind him there. They're still all chasing Kenny in the number 32. And you can follow him on Twitter at NH5 for NASCAR Heat 5, NH5 Kenny. And he reached out to us on Twitter, signed up for the King of the Road tournament, and wow, folks, is all I can say. Did not expect this, actually. Knew he would be competitive, but man, he's really pulling out to an impressive lead over a very talented sim racer of Solzano 14, BBS Brennan, and others that are in this group. Group D drivers, there's really no ranking system between Group A, B, C, and D. It was just a simple way to split the drivers up. And Kenny, off to a great start for his group in round 1. 25 valuable points go to the race winner, and that's what he's looking to cash in on. He's got a big lead over the number 14 of Solzano. And I believe that Ryan Schreck is motionless on pit road. He is done for the day here at Watkins Glen. He will be back for the second and third races, I do believe, for Group D here tonight in round 1. And he will finish in the 10th position at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, he had a rough day. Honestly, he might have just parked it for the day because he was frustrated. But you know, I'm kind of going on board with this discount tire Ford Mustang of Rockin' Lunatic. He's actually, I guess you could say, kept this car on the racetrack and making sure he does not hit the grass. He's pretty slow, though. I haven't seen him really gain on anybody recently. He's actually lost time. And I wouldn't be surprised if he may go a lap down because of how slow he's actually getting. He's actually getting slower now. He's going off course a little bit. Is there a problem with the 2-car?
Very well could be, but we should also mention to the viewers at home, KB Showtime in the 42 has taken the 5th position away from the French phenom Beam SKP. And it's key there, folks, because every point matters. You're looking to advance your way into round 2 by being in the top 4 in the final standings at the end of these 3 races. This is the first of 3 here for tonight. Group D races, round 1, King of the Road tournament. 53 drivers from 5 countries entered this tournament, and they're all trying to advance their way into round 2 and eventually advance their way into the final round. 8 drivers advance to the finals at the Charlotte Roval. They're all chasing Kenny in the number 32 Ford. Ayrton, what are you seeing out there?
One, I don't mean to step on your comment a second ago about KB Showtime in the 42, but I do believe he's a lap down because I believe it was mentioned earlier, he had an incident on, I believe, the first lap. And he went down pit road. So actually, I noticed when he left the pits, he kind of held up the second place car that at the time was Brennan. So that did factor into why they were so far behind Kenny. But I do believe KB Showtime is unfortunately a lap down, probably chasing the fastest lap because he does look quite quick.
My apologies. Yes, that's my... Yeah, so he very well might be, because he drove by Beam SKP. He very well might be on fresher tires, but regardless, looking very quick here, and he's looking to cash in on that fastest race lap rank. And that's arguably the only way some of these drivers are possibly going to advance their way into round 2. KB Showtime, high hopes to advance based on points, and he's quite the impressive road course racer. He very well could advance his way on points, but there's another way, and that's what he's trying to do here.
Ty, I also want to point out this 32 Ford Mustang is actually kind of saving his tires. He's kind of doing a strategy here. I've seen him. He's not gotten into anything yet. He's actually not gotten off course yet today in turn 1 specifically. I've watched him in turn 1 for a few laps now. He's actually stayed very close to the curb, making sure he does not wheel hop and he does not go off track. Because in turn 1, there's that strip of the rumble strip. If you hit that rumble strip, you can wheel hop and go driver's side door into the catch fence. So the easy thing here, if I were the 32, do what I'm doing right now. Don't do anything fancy. Don't even try to show off to the lap car or second place behind you.
Yeah, whatever Kenny's been doing since the drop of the green flag has been working. Took the lead early. He's been able to drive away from Silzano and BBS Brennan and KD and Beam SKP's been able to drive away from all of the heavy hitters here in Group D, and a win to start the round would be huge for Kenny. He's got a lapped car in front of him. That's the 16 of Bubba Hollywood. Bubba Hollywood, I believe, is scored in the 7th position right now.
The 32 will make a nice clean pass on the lap car, and actually I believe the 16 kind of gave him a little nice gift, if you will, to the 32. So now the 16 is going to have to go, or actually the 14 is going to have to go against the 16 next, and we'll see how that goes.
And that's if he gets there in time, because if my math's correct, which it might not be, I might have lost a lap or two during some pit stops that I was watching. This might be the final lap. If not, there might be one more after it. So the 14, if he's going to pull off a miracle, he's got to do it soon. But he's quite far behind, and yeah, you are correct. He does have to get around Bubba Hollywood in the 16, who is not an easy car to pass. I've run behind him a few times.
Yep, time is running out here for Kenny in the 32, and for Silzano in the 14, who's trying to run down your race leader. It does look like he is eating into that gap a little bit over the last 2 or 3 laps ever since he was able to complete the pass finally on BBS Brennan, but it wasn't a quick enough gain to gain all the way and challenge for the lead before the end of this race, unless something drastic happens here before the end. It was a great way to start the round here for the Group D drivers. For Kenny in that number 32 Ford Mustang. Comes across the start-finish line at Watkins Glen.
Looks like he took the checkered.
And he wins the round opener for the Group D drivers at Watkins Glen International. Silzano, the pole sitter, is going to finish in 2nd. BBS Brennan in the 51 is going to finish in 3rd. KD in the 95 is going to finish in 4th. Beam SKP in the 43 is going to round the track here to finish in the 5th position and round out the top 5. Great way to start the Group D races here in round 1 of the King of the Road tournament on NASCAR Heat 5. The race at Watkins Glen is in the history books. Ayrton, sum up what you saw out there for us and compare it to the race you ran yesterday for Group C.
This race was really good. Again, a car just kind of drove off. Having open air here at Watkins Glen is huge. In the Group A race, we saw Max Boost just drive away as the battles went on behind him. In my race with Vintimidator, he just drove off as I battled for second. So being first place as soon as you can here at Watkins Glen is huge. But we did see some great battles on track, and I'm sure that won't be the last one tonight.
Jackson, what did you take away from this race?
I do have to say a lot of wheel hopping, and I saw that consistently tonight. I saw a lot of cars get up on 2 wheels. I saw a couple of cars spin out because of it, and we saw a couple cars visit the gravel trap. So Busy day here at Watkins Glen. I had a lot of fun out here in the booth. It's been awesome to be up here. Yeah, last night I think we had at least, if I'm not wrong, a car or maybe two cars larger for a field. So this was definitely, I think, a smaller field here tonight. But next, I believe, is Mid-Ohio, correct, Ty?
Yes, sir. Mid-Ohio, and then the main event at Road America. We just documented everybody's fastest race laps, and that could play into a factor for who advances to round two. If they don't punch their ticket into round two based on points in the top four at the end of the final standings, they can do it by being one of the top two drivers in terms of their fastest race lap performance amongst the 30-plus drivers who were eliminated in round one and did not advance based on top four in the final standings in their group. That's going to do it, folks. Watkins Glen race is in the history books. Congratulations to Kenny 25 in that number 32 Ford Mustang. I'm NOSSCAR CEO and founder Tyler McMurder. He was Ayrton Frederick. He was Jackson Stotts. And we've got Mid-Ohio coming up in just a matter of minutes. Look for us live 15 minutes time.